I'm sitting in a cafe in Prague right now, drinking coffee that costs less than the bottled water back home, and I just listened to the most unhinged voicemail I've ever received. But let me back up because this whole situation is insane. I'm 38, been doing pretty well for myself. I run a small but profitable logistics company that I built from scratch over the past decade. Not rich, but comfortable. Own my house outright, no debt, got a healthy retirement account, the kind of stability that apparently makes you a target. Met Jennifer about a year ago at a friend's barbecue. She's 36, works as a real estate agent, has an 18-year-old son named Tyler from her previous marriage. Right from the start, I made my position clear. I'm not looking to be anyone's ATM. I've seen too many guys get used for their wallets, and that's not happening to me. Our first few dates, I paid. Normal stuff. But by date 4, I told her straight up that I believe in splitting things evenly once we're past the getting to know you phase. She seemed fine with it. Said she appreciated a man who treated her like an equal. Great. Here's the thing though. Jennifer had this way of presenting herself as independent and self-sufficient, but there were signs. Small stuff at first. She'd forget her wallet occasionally, her card would get declined, and she'd laugh it off. She'd suggest expensive restaurants, and then look surprised when the bill came. I'm not an idiot, I noticed, but I also shut it down every single time. When she forgot her wallet, I'd wait while she went home to get it. When her card declined, I'd suggest we split an appetizer instead until her bank sorted it out. When she picked pricey places, I'd counter with somewhere reasonable. She learned real quick that I wasn't the guy to play those games with. About 3 months in, she mentioned Tyler's college plans in passing. Said he'd gotten accepted to a state university for the fall semester. Good for him. His dad, Jennifer's ex-husband Derek, was supposed to handle college costs as part of their divorce agreement. That's what she told me anyway. I made it clear from that first conversation that Tyler's education was between her, Tyler, and Derek. Not my concern. She nodded, said of course completely understood. We kept dating. Things were actually pretty good when she wasn't trying to angle for money. She was fun, attractive, we had good chemistry. I met Tyler a handful of times. Decent kid, bit entitled, but what teenager isn't? I was polite but kept my distance. Not my son, not my responsibility to parent or fund. Around month 5, Jennifer started hinting about moving in together. I shut that down. Way too soon, and frankly I liked my space. She didn't push it, which I respected. Then month 6 rolled around and something shifted. She started having car trouble, needed repairs. I recommended a good mechanic. She asked if I could cover it and she'd pay me back. I said no. She got upset, said she thought we were building something serious. I reminded her that serious doesn't mean I'm her emergency fund. She paid for her own repairs. 2 weeks later, her water heater broke. Asked if I could help with the replacement cost. Again, no. Gave her the number for a financing company. She called me selfish. I told her she was welcome to see it that way. The thing is, I wasn't being cheap. I just wasn't going to set a precedent where her financial emergencies became my problem. I've watched good men get bled dry by women who saw them as solutions instead of partners. Every time I held firm, Jennifer would be upset for a day or two, then come back around. I figured she was learning where the boundaries were. Month 7, things were actually stable. No money requests, no hints, nothing. We were just dating like normal people. I started thinking maybe she'd actually accepted how things were going to be. That's when she brought up marriage. We were having dinner at her place. Tyler was out with friends. She asked me where I saw this relationship going. I told her the truth. I liked what we had, but I wasn't in a rush to change anything. She said she was falling in love with me, wanted to know if I felt the same. I did, actually. Somewhere along the way, despite all the money games, I'd developed real feelings for her. So I told her yes, I could see a future with her, maybe marriage down the road. She got emotional, happy tears, the whole thing. It felt genuine. That night, she brought up Tyler's college again, said Derek was refusing to pay, something about losing his job and not being able to afford it anymore. Said she was panicking because the fall semester was coming up and Tyler would lose his spot if the tuition wasn't paid soon. I listened, expressed sympathy, and asked what her plan was. She said she was looking into parent loans, but her credit wasn't great because of some issues during the divorce. Asked if I had any advice. I suggested Tyler defer for a semester, work, save money, and start in the spring when they'd figured out the finances, or community college for 2 years, then transfer. Plenty of options. Jennifer got quiet, said she'd think about it. I thought that was the end of it. 2 days later, I came home from work to find her sitting in my driveway. She had a key I'd given her for emergencies. I asked what she was doing there. She said we needed to talk. We went inside. She sat me down and said she'd been doing a lot of thinking. Said that if we were serious about a future together, we needed to act like a team. Said Tyler's education was important and it affected our future as a family. Then she said Derek completely backed out. Confirmed he wasn't paying a dime. I saw where this was headed. I asked her directly what she wanted from me. She said the tuition for Tyler's first year was $40,000. Said if I truly loved her and saw a future with us, I would help with this. Not pay for all of it, she was quick to say. Just help. Maybe cover this year. She'd figure out the rest. I sat there for a minute. Then I asked her if she was making our relationship contingent on me paying for her son's college. She backtracked immediately. No, of course not. She just thought since we were talking about marriage, this was something we'd handle together. I told her no. Tyler wasn't my son. His education wasn't my financial responsibility, and I wasn't starting a marriage by dropping 40 grand on someone else's kid. She could explore loans, Tyler could work and defer, there were options. But I wasn't one of them. She got upset, said she thought I cared about her. I said I did, but that didn't mean I was a checkbook. She left angry. The next few days, she blew up my phone. Long texts about how relationships require sacrifice. How if I really loved her, this wouldn't be a question. How Tyler was part of the package and refusing to help him was refusing to accept her. I didn't engage much, just kept saying my position hadn't changed. Then she switched tactics. Started sending me information about Tyler's program, how good the school was, what an opportunity this was. Sent me screenshots of Derek's texts where he confirmed he wasn't paying. Tried to make me feel guilty. I felt bad for the kid, honestly. Not his fault his parents couldn't get their finances together. But that still didn't make it my problem. Week 2 of this pressure campaign, Jennifer showed up at my house again. This time, she was different. Calmer. Said she'd been unfair, she understood my position, she just loved her son and was desperate. Said she wasn't going to ask me for money anymore. Then she said she'd been thinking about my comment about marriage. Said maybe we should just do it. Get engaged, start planning a wedding. Said if we were going to be a family anyway, why wait? I was suspicious, but also, honestly, caught off guard. I had been thinking about proposing eventually, maybe around the 1-year mark. But she was sitting there looking at me with these hopeful eyes, talking about building a life together. I made a mistake. I let my guard down. I didn't propose right then, but over the next week, I started actually considering it. Looked at rings. Thought about how I'd do it. Jennifer was back to being sweet, affectionate, no mention of money. It felt like we'd gotten past the rough patch. 3 weeks later, I took her to this nice restaurant overlooking the water. Had the ring in my pocket. I was nervous as hell. Halfway through dinner, I did it. Got down on one knee, the whole traditional thing. Asked her to marry me. She said yes. Cried. Kissed me. Everyone in the restaurant clapped. It was a whole moment. We got back to her place that night, and she immediately started talking about wedding plans. Wanted to do it soon, maybe in 4 months. Said she'd always wanted a spring wedding. I was good with that. We'd been dating almost 10 months at that point. Wedding would put us past a year together. Seemed reasonable. Then she said, almost casually, that she was so relieved we were getting married, because now Tyler's college situation could finally get sorted out. I asked her what she meant. She said that now that we were engaged, we were basically family, and she knew I'd come through for Tyler. Said the payment deadline for fall semester was in about 6 weeks, and she'd been so stressed, but now everything would work out. I just stared at her. Asked her directly if she just said yes to my proposal because she thought it meant I'd pay for college. She laughed. Said no, of course not, but that being engaged meant we were a team now, and teams helped each other. Said 40,000 was nothing compared to what we'd spend on a life together. Said she'd already told Tyler the good news, that his stepdad was going to make sure he could go to school. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Asked her when exactly she told Tyler this. She said this afternoon, after I'd texted her to wear something nice for dinner. She'd figured out I was proposing, so she knew. Before I even asked, she knew I was going to propose, told her son I was paying for college, and then accepted my proposal with that already decided in her head. I asked her what would have happened if I'd proposed and then still said no to paying. She got defensive. Said that wouldn't happen because I loved her and Tyler. Said I was being paranoid. I stood up, told her I needed to leave. She tried to stop me, said we needed to talk about the tuition payment. I walked out. Drove home, didn't sleep. Spent the whole night thinking about every interaction we'd had. Every time she'd asked for money. Every time I'd said no. Every time she'd backed off and then come back with a different angle. This was just another angle. The longest con. The next morning, she called. Asked if I'd had time to think. Asked when we could go to the bank to set up the tuition payment. Said the deadline was getting closer. I told her to come over. She showed up within an hour, smiling, looking excited. Probably thought I'd come around. I handed her the ring box. Told her the engagement was off. She looked confused, asked what I meant. I said exactly what I said. We weren't getting married. This whole thing was a setup to get money for Tyler, and I wasn't doing it. She panicked. Started crying, saying I was wrong, she loved me, the timing was just coincidental. I asked her point blank if she would have accepted my proposal if I'd already definitively said I wasn't paying for college. She hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. She tried to recover. Said yes, of course she would have, but it was too late. I told her to leave. She refused. Said we needed to work this out. Said Tyler was counting on this. I told her Tyler was her problem, not mine. She called me heartless. I told her she had 10 minutes to get out of my house or I was calling the cops for trespassing. She left, screaming about what a horrible person I was. The next few days were nuclear. Text messages, voicemails, emails, all of them some variation of how I was ruining Tyler's future. How could I do this to them? I'd made a commitment. I blocked her number. Then her friends started contacting me. Mutual people from our friend group, calling me cruel, saying I led her on, saying I was punishing a kid for his mother's mistakes. I explained the situation to the ones I actually cared about. Most of them got it. A few didn't. I cut those ones loose. Jennifer showed up at my work. Security escorted her out. She sent Tyler to my house. I didn't answer the door. The kid stood there yelling about how his mom said I promised to pay, how he was going to lose his spot, how I was destroying his dreams. I felt bad for him, genuinely, but his mom had put him up to this, and I wasn't engaging. 2 weeks after I called off the engagement, Jennifer sent me a long email. Laid out every reason why I should reconsider. Apologized for how she'd handled things, said she should have been more direct. Promised if I helped with this one thing, she'd never ask for money again. Said we could even hold off on the wedding, just please help Tyler. I didn't respond. The next day, I did something I'd been thinking about since the breakup. I'd been planning to take time off work eventually, maybe around the holidays. Instead, I moved it up. Booked a 3-month trip through Europe. Flights, hostels, trains, the works. Used the money I'd been setting aside for wedding expenses. Came out to about $45,000 after I splurged on some nicer accommodations. I posted one picture on social media. Me at the airport with a backpack, caption that just said, taking some time for myself. See you in 3 months. Tagged my location as departing to London. My phone exploded. Jennifer somehow got through the block, left a dozen voicemails. Her friends messaged me. Tyler sent me a long rant. I turned my phone off, boarded the plane, and didn't turn it back on until I landed. That was 2 months ago. I've been bouncing around Europe since. London, Paris, Amsterdam, Berlin, Prague now. It's been incredible. I've met interesting people, seen amazing things, eaten great food, and not once thought about Jennifer's drama except when I checked my messages. Which brings me to today. I was sitting in this cafe, connected to Wi-Fi for the first time in a few days. Decided to check my voicemail. Had about 30 messages, most from Jennifer, a few from her friends, 2 from Tyler. The most recent one from Jennifer, left yesterday, was absolutely unhinged. She was sobbing, barely coherent. Said the college registrar had canceled Tyler's enrollment because the tuition didn't get paid by the deadline. Said he'd lost his spot. Said Derek was refusing to help. The loans didn't come through. She'd tried everything. Said this was all my fault. Said I'd ruined her son's life. Then she said if I'd just come back and help, she'd do anything. Anything I wanted. She'd sign a prenup, keep her finances separate. Whatever I needed. Just please help Tyler get back into school for the spring semester. I listened to the whole thing, then I deleted it, blocked her email too while I was at it. Here's the thing. I don't feel bad. Should I? Maybe some people would say I should, but I don't. Tyler losing his college spot sucks for him. But it's not because of me. It's because his mother tried to manipulate me into paying for it instead of figuring out actual solutions. It's because his father backed out of his responsibilities. It's because Jennifer spent the last year trying different tactics to get into my wallet instead of being a real partner. I gave her chances. Every time she asked for money, I said no clearly. Every time she pushed, I held my line. I never once led her to believe I'd be Tyler's financial support. The proposal wasn't contingent on anything except us building a real relationship. She's the one who twisted it into a transaction. And now she's dealing with the consequences of her choices. Tyler can take a gap year. He can go to community college. He can work and save. There are paths forward that don't involve trying to guilt trip your ex-fiancé from across an ocean. Meanwhile, I'm in Prague, about to head to Vienna next week, then Croatia after that. I've got one more month of this trip, and I'm using every day of it to reset and figure out what I actually want. One thing I know for sure. When I get back, I'm done with women who see me as a solution to their problems instead of a person. Done with subtle manipulation. Done with guilt trips about being a team when it only goes one way. Jennifer thought she was clever. Thought she could work the angles until she got what she wanted. Thought a proposal would lock me in and make me feel obligated. Instead, she lost a partner who actually cared about her, and I got a 3-month European vacation funded by money she thought she was going to access. I'd say I hope she learned something from this, but honestly, I don't really care if she does or not. That's her journey to figure out. Mine involves a train to Vienna tomorrow and absolutely zero regrets.